Welcome back to another horse training video. In this one we're just covering some simple pole work exercises. So we're straight in there doing some simple trotting poles. The trotting poles are great for getting your horse to pick their feet up properly, and it strengthens their hindquarters and generally just improves their striding. So one of the reasons that I find trotting poles great is because it really encourages them to move forward. And one of the issues with Carrie and getting her used to the saddle is that she's very hesitant to move. And even if I ask her to speed up, she tries to kind of glide and hover. So as you can see, we've got just 3 simple poles. When you're setting them up, they're 4 feet apart. So heel toe, 4 of those. You might have to play with the distance a little bit because obviously everybody's feet are different sizes and your horse will have different striding, but that's a general rule of thumb. And then obviously if you want them to do a more collected trot, you can shorten the distance between each pole. If you want them to extend, you then increase that distance. But for now I just want to keep it simple for her so she doesn't have to move too much. So you can see you've got a nice loose rope. I'm not really lunging properly. I'm just kind of giving her a chance to figure it out herself. So remember to do it both sides as well equally, and try not to do it too many times on one side because it'll get repetitive, it'll get boring. So you can see she was hesitant, but the point is to try and encourage them over it so that the exercise becomes about the poles and not the saddle. So again, we start trying to increase the length of trot because horses, they'll tend to stop the exercise straight away if they can. So she likes to stop trotting as soon as she's done the trotting poles, and for the time being I'm okay with that because I want to say that she's done a good job and she can rest. But as time goes on, you have to increase their stamina, you have to teach them that they can't just stop as soon as they do one thing. So again, I just use the whip as gentle encouragement to try and tell her to keep going, and already, only after doing it a few times, she's more confident. I leave the stirrups down, because yes, although they make some more noise, that's the point. Because if I were to fall off, or if I were to lose my balance or lose my stirrup, I don't want the loose stirrup to be a problem. So if I lose my footing and the stirrup's flapping about, I don't want that to be a reason that she spooks. So getting her over the poles, she's bouncing more, the stirrups are moving more, and she's learning that that's okay. And on top of that, we're increasing her fitness. So then going downhill is a little more tricky for her. You might not be able to tell from the camera angle, but the hill is on a slight slant. And for her, that's a very, very big deal with the saddle. As you can see, immediately, as soon as she feels the saddle moving more, she pushes her weight back. So again, there's no punishment involved. It's just saying, okay, we'll try again and we'll take it steady. So at this stage, especially early on in getting her used to the saddle, I don't mind if she stops, but you see, that gentle encouragement, that's what actually makes the process a lot quicker. If you try and force them early on, it will become an issue in their head. So again, you have to do it kind of both ways and be prepared that it will be different each side. And you can see she struggled there, but she carried on. And that's kind of my bad point there because I'm stopping her, but it's because I want to reward her because she did so well. And it's that reassurance that they need, especially when it's about confidence building. So again, you ask her to trot, it doesn't have to be a fast trot, but you can see already she's a bit nervous. We say that's okay, but you have to go over it. And that's the goal. That, you know, if a horse is nervous about something, you don't want them to just stop and you don't want them to bolt. So for me, it's trying to say, no, you have to cross it. So you can see she's nervous now, she's refusing. as if she hasn't already done it. And that's that kind of dangerous thing. If you're riding, you don't want to have that issue. You want to say, okay, if you have to slow down, you have to slow down. You can see she's not very happy with me there. But we say, okay, we keep doing it because the idea is that she needs to be forward moving. You don't want a horse to go backwards because then that can lead to rearing. So when you're doing exercise and training horses, just bear in mind you have to keep calm. See, she kind of decided to, I don't know if she was trying to canter it, but like treat them as canter poles then. But she went over it, and that's what you have to encourage. So although it definitely wasn't glamorous, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted, she did her best to go over it regardless of her mental blockages with it. So then, when you're lunging, just be prepared that if a horse is getting a bit hesitant with something, it might be good to walk with them. And that's something that I know helps with my horse, that if they're having a blockage for a moment, you just change the exercise slightly so you don't force them to keep doing it by themselves. You do it with them. So that's what I'm trying now, and she's being a bit lazy, she doesn't really want to trot. But we get there and we say, okay, I'll do it with you. And horses learn well from each other. Now, I don't have another horse in the field, I have a donkey, and he's even more stubborn. So for now, she has to see that if I can do it, she can do it. So although she wouldn't trot it then, walking it still deserves a reward because she didn't refuse, she didn't spook, she still did it. See, again, that's now me trying to measure the pole distance. So remember, 4 feet is the general rule of thumb. And again, you can play with the distance to try and make a more extended trot or a more collected trot. If it's about confidence building with a saddle, it's better to have a shorter difference so they don't have to stretch as much. Because obviously the bigger the stride, the more that the saddle will move. So that's something to work to. See, that kind of misbehaving, that was her trying to roll. So for me it's always handy having a whip just as like an extension of the arm. So again, we start with a nice gentle exercise, and she has a tendency to always walk everything the first time because she's not sure about the distance, she's not sure if she can do it. And for now, I'm okay with that because as long as she's going over it, then I'm happy. So again, if you don't want to ask them to trot the entire circle, that's okay. Especially for the time being, because I don't want to put too much pressure on her of trotting downhill, then coming round and over some poles. So using the whip as a bit of an encouragement is just to kind of, I try and keep it as low as possible and then flick it if I need to, raise it if I want her to go faster, because she learns the commands. If she's doing everything I'm asking, then I'll try and keep the whip behind me. But as you can see then, when she was thinking about slowing down, you kind of wiggle the whip to say, no, I want you to go faster. And if she feels like she can, she will. And then give them plenty of praise when they do it correctly. Again, as you can see, I'm not lunging on a perfect circle, so I have to keep playing around with making sure I'm at the right distance and not mess it up for her. And you can see her confidence increases. I'll try to get her to move a little bit further on so she doesn't stop straight away after the poles. And she did it well, plenty of praise. And then we do it the other way. Now I have to walk with her sometimes slightly because she likes to cut me off and then she'll come too close in front of the poles. So again, you can see she was gonna do it in trot, and then she decided it's easier just to walk it. And then she turns to face me, but you see, I would praise her vocally then, which you can't hear, but I don't give her a lot of like patting because it wasn't exactly what I wanted. But then you see the second time, she does it a lot more confidently. And then that's what you really praise. So you have to judge it based on your horse's ability. If you know that they know they can do more, then you don't need to go overboard with the praising. But if they do something really well, and for the first time, then you need to give them a lot of reassurance that they've done well. See, again, we're saying keep the speed up, keep the distance. And then give them a lot of praise if they do what you ask. And then this time I just decided to walk with her over it, rather than making it too difficult. It can become a very repetitive exercise, so if you can think of ways to kind of change it up, then do so. Like in between, if you want to give them a breather, you could walk in between the poles or get them to halt over a pole. Something to just change it up. But that's it. Thanks for watching and join us next time.